Right, you guys, today we're gonna have to bring a discussion up that is kind of been looming over my head. We're gonna have to discuss about communication in sport. How are you receiving communication? How am I receiving your trust for a click and a like, a comment? We're gonna discuss a little bit on about how wing foiling is being brought to the general customer, how wing foiling is being communicated, or not just wing foiling, foiling in general, how is it being communicated to maybe the beginner people, somebody that is on the fence that kind of wants to get started with it, and how is this all being received? I don't know, I'm feeling we're a little bit on the wrong path here. I feel like we are not able to grow the sport the way we're doing this right now, and we are most likely alienating people that wants to try getting started. We all know foiling is super hard. Foiling is not easy to learn. The gear is just mind-boggling, complicated. And I'm looking at the number one publication in foiling, which is the Foiling Magazine, and I say thank you guys for sending this to me. The amount of content these guys are getting out of wing foiling is just insane. I mean, I have my two magazines of mine are not even as thick as one of theirs, so they have so much content, and there's so much advertising in there, and I'm always with great interest reading this magazine, and I'm looking through it and I'm thinking, so this is kind of like the overall picture that we're getting from foiling. And the first thing that I notice is all the advertising is 90% things that the normal person cannot do. We are having advertising in waves where most people don't paddle out, and the people that would paddle out question whether they should not rather use a shortboard or a surfboard altogether. We are seeing lots of air shows. Makes kind of sense too, because this is how you can showcase your gear when it's out of the water. We see just air shows, abstract stuff. We do not see a whole lot of pump foiling and prone foiling, but we see certainly things like this. Like, look at this huge barrel in the back. I always feel like this barrel is going a little bit to waste there. I also noticed, and I kind of set that aside, is I kind of started counting pages, and I noticed I have to go through roughly 113 pages, and I find 3 pictures of women. So overall, we can say the wing foiling sport is being brought to us by dudes, waves, and air show. That's what the sport is. To me, I'm not a 20-year-old with the dream of like, oh, look at this, I want to do this, I want to do that. To me, foiling is something else, something more laid back, I would say. And I'm trying to think. I saw an advertising, because Armstrong is an advertiser in my magazine here, and we have an ad of a guy, number one, and this is something that really struck me. An older guy in a smaller wave. Kind of like the opposite of what we just saw. Young guy, big wave, older guy, smaller wave. So we have to ask ourselves, who are the demographics that would buy into our sport? So number one, it's not cheap, right? We all know wings are $700 and up, carbon foil setups, thousands along with the board. So it's not something that your 21-year-old university college student has the money for and goes like, yeah, I'm going to get into this sport, I'm going to buy this. Or the 14-year-old kid living somewhere is like, oh, I want to do this, that, and dad is like, whoa, this is very expensive for the kid to have a hobby. So that is kind of like a little bit of a conundrum, because the people who are in the financial position to really buy this, they're not those. They're not the young guys riding big waves. They're the middle-aged guys with jobs who are most likely not in 20-foot waves and massive barrels. But they have the money to buy this. So I'm kind of starting to draw a little parallels to the windsurf industry from back in the day. I didn't live through this. I'm too young for that. I wasn't there, but I keep hearing the same story over and over. It's like the gear is gotten too small, too complicated. If you are not showing up on the beach with a sinker board, you're not cool anymore. And the whole thing, everything, the gear shrunk and it became too specific. At the end, the general customer, the mom and pop kind of guy, the old guy kind of got phased out. And I'm a little bit afraid that foiling, which is already complicated as it is not being brought to the people as like, hey, this is easy. Just lower the bar for entry. Just lower this bar for entry and showcase. Yes, you can go and learn dock starts with people. Yes, you can go learn how to wing. You don't have to be a former windsurf pro or whatever. You can go teach yourself this. You can learn without the foil, learn a wing. You can go foil without a wing, and you can bring those two together later on. No, we're straight out of the gates. Waves, dudes, and crazy action, which of course has its place too. I mean, yes, of course, it's awesome. You showcase your abilities. The limits are being pushed. You guys all remember just a few years ago when we saw the first backflip on a wing foil, we were like, oh my gosh, exploding, crazy, And now it's kind of like it almost starts to become standard, and those standards are becoming higher and higher, while the guy that tries to come in from underneath is like, I want to go, I want to be there, I want to be part of it. But it's so hard and you can't, and all we see is the hard part. We don't see the easy part. We don't see like, oh, start with a big foil, take it easy, go behind the boat. All we see is crazy waves and crazy material, crazy gear on a sinker board, but where is the ladies cruising around? Where is the older guys cruising around? We have a guy here, and that's why I need to refer to this picture again. A middle-aged guy, maybe already in his 50s, on a small waves. You know how many middle-aged guys were kind of like, hey, yeah, I want to go action again. I'm going to do something. I got the money. I'd like to choose a hobby. Maybe they live near a water or at a lake or an ocean or something. And then there's a small wave. Like, oh, look at this. So much fun in a small wave. It doesn't have to be freaking 10 feet something. So, and those are the people that are going to be actually playing rack rate, because I'm guarantee you one thing, 90% of the people that are in this magazine, that are featured in this magazine, they didn't spend a dime on the gear that they're actually riding. But the people that are buying that, there's got to be people out there that are paying rack rate for those things. And that's where the problem to me comes in. We need, in my opinion, to cater the content that comes out more to guys like you and me. Like, I'm a middle-aged guy. I don't go jump loops. I'm like, yeah, it's cool to see, but at some point it's like, even with the contest, it becomes so abstract that the normal person can't relate to it anymore. I'd rather see like cool glides, or like, oh, look at this guy, he's wing foiling in like super light wind. That was the thing. Wing foiling was supposed to be like a super light wind thing that you can do anywhere, anytime, all the time. Something that is very accessible. And then not to speak of pump foiling, you don't even need wind for that. You can just do it in a swimming pool, and it is very accessible. But if we keep showing all these abstract stuff, I think this industry is making the same mistake like they did with windsurfing. There's only going to be pros, only people that are sponsored or have a friend that's sponsored that get the gear cheaper and then buy it on the second-hand market. And if you have the family dad walking into a surf shop that wants to start something, for them the bar is just gone too high. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? Do we have a point here, or do we not have a point here? Do we have the next video that we're going to see you? For sure.